Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the stars. He had done this same job 17 times before. Each time it was the same process. Find a new planet with smart life. Talk to them. Learn about them. Bring them into the big family of space peoples called the Galactic Federation. It was always peaceful. The Federation had rules about this. When you find new people, you send teachers and scientists. You send people who know how to talk and make friends. You never send soldiers or weapons. War was something old and stupid that smart people had left behind long ago. Hyunwoo had been doing this work for 20 years. He was good at it. His ship, the Harmony's Voice, was built for making friends, not fighting. It had computers that could learn any language. It had rooms full of gifts from other worlds. It had everything needed to welcome new people to the galaxy. But this time felt different. Dr. Bo-Ram Lee walked up to him. She was the best scientist in the Federation for studying new life forms. She looked worried. "Captain, I have been looking at the signals from the third planet again," she said. "These humans are not like the others we have met." Hyunwoo turned to face her. "What do you mean?" Bo-Ram showed him her tablet computer. On the screen were charts and numbers that showed the radio signals coming from Earth. "Look at this. Most of their signals are not about art or science or friendship. They are about war." The captain looked at the data. The humans sent signals about military training. They talked about weapons and battles. Their entertainment was full of stories about fighting aliens from space. It was very strange. "Maybe they are just careful people," Hyunwoo said, but he did not sound sure. "There is more," Bo-Ram continued. "They have split their planet into many different groups. These groups do not always get along. Sometimes they fight each other. And Captain, they have weapons that could destroy their whole world." This was very unusual. Most planets that the Federation found had one government by the time they could talk to the stars. They had learned to work together. But Earth seemed to be different. The Federation Council had been talking about this problem for months. Some people said they should use the normal way. Send the Harmony's Voice with its teachers and scientists. Talk to the humans like they did with everyone else, but other people were worried. Admiral Soo-Jin Park was one of them. She had studied the human signals too. She thought it might be dangerous to approach them with just a peaceful ship. "These humans expect aliens to be enemies," Admiral Park had told the council. "All their stories and movies show aliens attacking them. If we show up with just a small friendly ship, they might think we are weak. Or they might think we are lying about being peaceful." The council argued for a long time. Some said that showing weapons would scare the humans. Others said that not showing weapons might make the humans think the Federation was easy to beat. In the end, they made a compromise. They would send the normal diplomatic mission, but they would also send protection. The Federation's biggest warship would go with them, not to fight but to show that the Federation was strong. The ship they chose was called the Eternal Peace. It was huge and powerful, but it had never been used in a real fight. The Federation had not had a war in over 300 years. The ship was more like a symbol than a real weapon. Captain Hyunwoo was not happy about this decision. He believed that showing weapons, even peaceful ones, sent the wrong message. But he followed his orders. Now both ships were traveling toward the human solar system. The Eternal Peace flew beside the Harmony's Voice like a giant metal mountain next to a small house. Its weapons were turned off, but they were still there for everyone to see. "Captain," said his communications officer, "we are getting close to the meeting point. Should we send the greeting message?" Hyunwoo nodded. The Federation had a standard way of saying hello to new species. They would send mathematical patterns that showed they were smart. Then they would send pictures that showed they were peaceful. Finally, they would wait for the new species to respond. "Send the message," he ordered. "And power down all our weapon systems. I want them to know we come in peace." The Eternal Peace did the same thing. Its massive guns and energy weapons went quiet. Both ships drifted slowly toward the asteroid belt where they would meet the humans. Dr. Bo-Ram Lee was excited despite her worries. This was what she lived for, the moment when two different kinds of life would meet for the first time. It was always amazing. Different worlds created different ways of thinking. Each new species taught the Federation something new about life in the universe. "I wonder what they will be like," she said to herself. "What will they think of us? What will we learn from them?" The Federation had met many kinds of aliens over the centuries. Some looked like plants. Some looked like birds. Some were made of energy instead of flesh. But they all had one thing in common. They were peaceful. By the time a species could travel between stars, they had learned to solve problems with words, not weapons. The humans would surely be the same way. They had to be. Any species that kept fighting would destroy itself before it could reach the stars. The Federation was sure of this. It had always been true before. Captain Hyunwoo looked out at the asteroid belt ahead of them. Somewhere out there, human ships were coming to meet them. Soon there would be 18 different species in the Federation instead of 17. The galaxy would be a little bit bigger and a little bit more interesting. He had no idea that everything he believed about first contact was about to change forever. Dr. Ji-hoon Choi was working late at the radio telescope station when his computer started making loud beeping sounds. He had been listening to space signals for 15 years, but this was different. The patterns were too organized to be natural, too smart to be from any machine humans had built. He called his supervisor right away. Then his supervisor called the government. Within 6 hours, every important person on Earth knew that aliens were real and they were coming to visit. The United Nations building in New York had never been so busy. People from every country rushed to emergency meetings. No one had ever planned for this day, even though everyone knew it might happen someday. Ambassador Hee Jin-nam from South Korea found herself in charge of the First Contact Committee. It was a job that existed only on paper. No one thought they would ever actually need it. The alien message is clear, she told the room full of world leaders. They are coming to our solar system. They want to meet us. They say they come in peace. President Min Seo-kang of the Pacific Alliance asked the question everyone was thinking. Do we believe them? The room went quiet. Everyone wanted to believe that aliens would be friendly. But everyone also remembered every movie and book about alien invasions. What if this was a trick? General Tae-hyun-oh stood up. He was in charge of Earth's combined military forces. His job was to think about the worst things that could happen. We have studied their ship with our telescopes, he said. It is very big. Much bigger than anything we have ever built. The energy it gives off suggests technology we do not understand. If they want to hurt us, we cannot stop them with force. The room became even quieter. Earth's weapons were powerful, but they were made for fighting other humans. No one knew if they would work against alien technology. However, the general continued, there is something we must consider. In nature, every successful species must be able to defend itself. If we appear weak, we invite attack. If we appear strong, we encourage respect. This started a big argument. Some countries wanted to send their best diplomats on a luxury passenger ship, show the aliens that humans were civilized and peaceful. Others wanted to send scientists to learn from the aliens and share human knowledge. But the military advisors had different ideas. Captain Woo Jin Lim was called in to give his opinion. He was the commander of Earth's newest and most powerful warship, the UES Indomitable. Every species on Earth that survived had to prove it could fight, he said. The peaceful ones that could not defend themselves are extinct. If these aliens are truly peaceful, they will understand our caution. If they are not peaceful, our caution might save our lives. The debate went on for hours. Some people said that bringing weapons to a diplomatic meeting would make the aliens angry. Others said that not bringing weapons would make the aliens think humans were easy targets. President Kang made the final decision. We will send diplomats, but they will travel on a military ship. We come in peace, but we are prepared for war. This is the human way. The choice of crew was very important. Captain Woo Jin Lim was known for staying calm under pressure. He had trained for space combat his whole life, but he was also smart enough to know when not to fight. His diplomatic advisor was Yoo Jin Seo. She had studied how different groups of people think and make decisions. She had spent years preparing for the possibility of meeting aliens, even though most people thought it would never happen. Chief Engineer Dong-min Park was in charge of the ship's weapons. The Indomitable carried the most advanced military technology humans had ever built. Railguns that could fire metal slugs at incredible speeds, missiles with nuclear warheads, energy weapons that were still being tested. The ship itself was designed for war. It was 1 kilometer long and covered in armor. Its computers were built to track multiple targets and make split-second tactical decisions. Everything about it said that humans were not easy prey. As the Indomitable prepared to leave Earth, people around the world watched on television. Some were excited about meeting aliens. Others were scared. Everyone understood that this moment would change human history forever. What do you think they will be like? Asked Commander Yuna Song, the ship's tactical officer. Captain Lim looked out at the stars. I do not know, but I hope they are reasonable. War with a species that can travel between stars would not end well for anyone. The Indomitable left Earth's orbit and began its journey to the asteroid belt. The alien ship was waiting there, along with what appeared to be a second, much larger vessel. Long-range scans showed that the larger ship was definitely military. So they brought a warship too, observed Engineer Park. Either they think like us, or this is a trap. As they got closer, more details became clear. The alien ships were unlike anything in human science fiction. They were smooth and curved where human ships were angular and aggressive. They seemed to be made for long journeys and peaceful purposes. But the larger ship was enormous. Its weapons, while powered down, were clearly visible. Captain Lim studied the tactical readouts carefully. Their technology is more advanced than ours, he told his crew. But they are not trying to hide their capabilities. If they wanted to destroy us, they probably could have done it from much farther away. The Indomitable approached the meeting point carefully. Captain Lim ordered all weapons powered but not aimed. Shields were raised to defensive levels. Every sensor was active and recording. If this goes badly, he said to his crew, Earth needs to know what happened here. Make sure everything is being transmitted back home. As the human ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel, it executed a perfect military insertion. The Indomitable positioned itself where it could fight or run, depending on what the aliens did next. On Earth, billions of people held their breath and waited to see if humanity's first contact with aliens would bring peace or war. The meeting place was in the asteroid belt, floating in the darkness between Mars and Jupiter. Captain Hyunwoo Kim brought his ship, the Harmony's Voice, to a complete stop. He turned off all the engines and weapons systems. This was the Federation way of showing peaceful intentions. Next to his small diplomatic ship, the massive Eternal Peace waited quietly. Its huge weapons were also turned off. Both alien ships drifted slowly through space, their crews ready to welcome a new species to the galactic community. Dr. Bo-Ram Lee watched her computer screens carefully. She was ready to begin the slow process of learning the human language. The Federation had done this many times before. They knew how to be patient and careful. Then the human ship arrived. The UES Indomitable dropped out of light speed like a bullet fired from a gun. Instead of the gentle, peaceful approach that aliens usually used, the human ship performed what could only be called an attack maneuver. It positioned itself where it could shoot at both Federation ships with maximum effect. Captain Woo Jin Lim studied the alien vessels through his ship's sensors. The smaller ship was clearly not military. It looked like a research vessel or maybe a passenger ship, but the larger ship made him frown with concern. That big ship is definitely built for fighting, said Commander Yu Na Song from her tactical station. It has more firepower than anything we have ever seen. And look at its position. It can hit us from there, but we would have trouble hitting it back. Meanwhile, aboard the Harmony's Voice, Dr. Bo-Ram Lee was having similar worried thoughts about the human ship. Captain, their vessel is radiating enormous energy signatures. Those are not scientific instruments. Those are weapons. Very powerful weapons. The first attempt at communication went wrong immediately. The Federation sent a mathematical sequence. Simple numbers that showed intelligence. Then they sent basic pictures. Circles, triangles, and drawings of peaceful creatures. This was how they always started conversations with new species. The humans sent back their own mathematical sequence, but they embedded it in what their computers automatically interpreted as targeting data. To the Federation ship's computers, it looked like the humans were locking weapons onto them. Both sides raised their defensive shields at the same time. What each side meant as protection, the other side saw as preparation for attack. Within minutes, both fleets were ready for battle, with weapons powered and targeting systems active. Captain Hyunwoo Kim tried to fix the problem. He sent another message using the mathematical language they had established. He tried to explain that there was a misunderstanding, but the translation computers on the Indomitable interpreted his complex mathematical concepts as surrender demands. The Federation captain was essentially telling the humans to give up and submit to alien authority. Captain Woo Jin Lim's response was immediate and decisive. His training had taught him that in first contact situations, showing weakness could be fatal. If the aliens thought humanity would surrender without a fight, they would learn otherwise. All crew to battle stations, he ordered calmly. Charge all weapon systems. If they want a fight, we will give them one they will remember. The battle began not with grand speeches or formal declarations of war, but with a simple miscommunication that spiraled out of control. When the Harmony's voice sent what it thought was a clarification message, the Indomitable's computers interpreted it as active targeting data. Captain Lim did not hesitate. All batteries open fire. Target the large vessel first. It is the primary threat. The Indomitable's opening attack was devastating. Humanity had spent decades preparing for possible alien contact, and their weapons reflected a species that had learned warfare through thousands of years of conflict. Railgun rounds traveling at enormous speeds punched through the Eternal Peace's shields like they were made of paper. Captain Hyunwoo Kim watched in horror as his escort vessel took massive damage from the first exchange. The Eternal Peace had never fired its weapons in anger. It was designed for peace, not war, but the human weapons were designed for one purpose only: to destroy enemies completely. "Return fire," Kim ordered, but his voice shook with shock. In all his years of first contact missions, no species had ever attacked during a diplomatic meeting. The Eternal Peace fought back, but its response showed the difference between Federation and human thinking. Its beam weapons targeted the Indomitable's weapon systems, trying to disable them without killing the crew. It was the kind of precise, careful response that worked well against other Federation ships. Against humans, it was a mistake. Chief Engineer Dongmin Park watched as alien energy beams carved into his ship's hull. "Hull damage on decks 7 and 12, he reported calmly. "But our armor held. Their weapons are more advanced than ours, but they are not trying to kill us." "Then they are fools," replied Commander Yuna Song. "In war, you fight to win, or you do not fight at all. Target their bridge. If we can destroy their command center, we can end this quickly." What followed was a battle that would be remembered forever. The Federation ships fought with precise, measured responses designed to disable rather than destroy. They tried to stop the fighting without causing unnecessary death. The humans fought with the brutal efficiency of a species that had turned warfare into a science. Every shot was aimed to cause maximum damage. Every maneuver was designed to gain tactical advantage. The Eternal Peace managed to destroy several of the Indomitable's weapon systems, but it took catastrophic damage in return. Holes were blown in its hull. Its shields failed. Its crew was dying. Captain Hyunwoo Kim realized that the humans were systematically destroying his ship with lethal intent. This was not the careful, controlled combat that Federation species used when they had disagreements. This was total war. He made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He ordered the Harmony's voice to retreat and call for reinforcements. "Emergency transmission to Federation High Command," he said. "First contact with Sol 3 species has failed completely. They are extremely hostile and possess advanced military technology. They attacked without provocation and fought to kill. Request immediate military intervention to protect Federation space." The message reached the Federation Council within hours. The response was swift and overwhelming. Admiral Soo-Jin Park assembled a battle fleet of 12 ships. They would go to the human solar system and end this threat before it could spread. As the Harmony's voice limped away from the battlefield, Captain Kim looked back at the wreckage floating in space. Pieces of both human and Federation ships drifted among the asteroids like metal tombstones. The Federation had come seeking friendship and found war instead. Now they would return with enough firepower to ensure that humanity never threatened anyone again. What they did not know was that they had completely misunderstood what had happened in that first, terrible meeting. The Federation response came exactly 1 week after the first battle. 12 warships dropped out of light speed at the edge of the human solar system, their weapons charged and shields raised. Admiral Soo-Jin Park commanded the fleet from her flagship, the Universal Accord. She was confident that this show of force would make the aggressive humans surrender. What they found was not what they expected. The wreckage from the first battle was still floating in the asteroid belt. Pieces of both human and alien ships drifted in the darkness like metal graves. But there was also something else. A single human vessel waiting for them. The UES Indomitable hung motionless in space, its hull scarred from the previous fight but still operational. It was alone against 12 Federation warships, but it had not run away. Captain Woo Jin Lim had spent the week preparing for this moment. His ship was damaged but still dangerous. More importantly, he had used the time to study the wreckage of the Federation vessels. What he found there changed everything he thought he knew about the aliens. "Report," he said to his chief engineer. Dongmin Park looked up from his analysis. "Captain, I have been studying their weapon systems. Their guns were set to minimum power during the battle. They were not trying to destroy us, they were trying to disable us without killing our crew. This was puzzling. In human warfare, you fought to win as quickly and completely as possible. The idea of holding back during combat was almost unknown. There is more," the engineer continued. "I managed to access part of their ship's computer core before it was destroyed. Captain, it is filled with diplomatic protocols, cultural exchange programs, and peaceful contact procedures. These aliens really did come to make friends." The horrible truth began to sink in. The Federation had come in peace and humanity had responded with lethal force. The first alien species humans had ever met, and they had tried to kill them. But Captain Lim was a military officer. He understood that dwelling on past mistakes was useless. What mattered now was the future. The Federation fleet had arrived with weapons ready. They clearly expected another fight. "Sir," said Commander Unisong from her tactical station, "the alien fleet is hailing us. They are demanding our surrender." Captain Lim looked at the odds. 12 alien ships against 1 damaged human vessel. If this turned into a battle, the Indomitable would be destroyed quickly. But surrendering meant accepting that humanity had been wrong about everything. Then he had an idea that would change the course of human history. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. "All frequencies. I want to make sure they hear this clearly." The message that Captain Lim sent was unlike anything any Federation species had ever transmitted during a first contact situation. It was simple, direct, and completely unexpected. "This is Captain Wu Jin Lim of the United Earth ship Indomitable. We believe there has been a grave misunderstanding. We wish to discuss terms for a peaceful resolution." The message was transmitted in perfect Federation standard language. The humans had learned it from studying the alien computer wreckage. But more importantly, it was accompanied by something unprecedented in Federation history. The Indomitable powered down its weapons. Admiral Su Jin Park stared at her communication screens in amazement. "They learned our language? In 1 week?" Dr. Bo Ram Lee, still recovering from injuries sustained in the first battle, was the first to understand what had happened. "Admiral, they have been studying our wreckage. They learned our language, our protocols, our intentions. They know we came in peace. The fleet remained at battle stations, but Admiral Park ordered them to hold fire. This was something new in her experience. No species had ever voluntarily disarmed during a military confrontation. This is Admiral Sujin Park of the Federation fleet. You attacked our diplomatic mission without provocation. You destroyed Federation vessels and killed Federation citizens. Why should we believe you want peace now?" Captain Lim's response was immediate. "Because we now understand that you were not attacking us. Your weapons were set to disable, not destroy. Your ships carried diplomats and scientists, not soldiers. We made a terrible mistake, and people died because of our fear and ignorance." What followed was the strangest negotiation in galactic history. Instead of demands for surrender or threats of retaliation, the humans offered something unprecedented, an explanation. "Our species has never met another intelligent life form," Captain Lim continued. "All our stories and preparations assumed that aliens would be enemies. When your large warship appeared at a diplomatic meeting, we interpreted it as a threat. When your computers sent targeting data, we assumed you were preparing to attack." Dr. Boram Lee studied the human ship carefully. Its design was purely military, built for war in a way that Federation vessels never were. But its behavior was puzzling. Why would a species designed for combat suddenly want to make peace? "Admiral," she said quietly, "I think I understand. Look at their ship. It is a weapon from bow to stern. These humans are warriors by nature, but they are also smart enough to recognize when they have made an error." The negotiations continued for hours. The humans explained their history, a species that had fought constantly throughout its development. They had learned to expect enemies because enemies were all they had ever known. The Federation explained their history, centuries of peace, species that had learned to solve problems through cooperation and understanding. They had expected friendship because friendship was all they had known. Slowly, a picture emerged of 2 completely different approaches to survival. The Federation species had developed peace first, then technology. Humans had developed warfare first, then learned to control it. "We offer you this proposal," Captain Lim said finally. "Humanity will join your federation, but we will serve as your military arm. We will protect the peaceful species that have forgotten how to fight. In exchange, you will teach us how to build a lasting peace." Admiral Park was quiet for a long time. The Federation had never had a military force. They had not needed one. But the universe was a big place, and perhaps it contained other species that were not as peaceful as the ones they had met before. "There is wisdom in your words," she said at last. "But how do we know you will not turn your weapons against us when you grow stronger?" Captain Lim's final words would become legendary throughout the galaxy. "Because we have seen what war costs and we have seen what peace offers. We are warriors, Admiral, but we are not fools. We know the difference between an enemy and a friend." The Federation Council's decision was unanimous. Humanity would be offered full membership, with the understanding that they would serve as protectors for species that had never learned to protect themselves. It was an arrangement that suited everyone. The Federation gained guardians who understood the brutal realities of warfare. Humanity gained allies who understood the profound value of peace. The first contact had been meant for diplomacy, but sometimes it takes a battleship to ensure that diplomacy has a future. 6 months after the first battle in the asteroid belt, Captain Woojin Lim stood on the bridge of a very different ship. The UES Indomitable had been rebuilt using both human and Federation technology. It was still a warship, but now it carried the symbols of 17 different species on its hull. The Federation Council had kept their promise. Humanity was now a full member of the galactic community, but with membership came responsibilities that no human had ever imagined. "Captain," said Commander Yuna Song, "we are receiving a distress call from the Kepler system. The colony there is under attack by unknown hostiles." This was why the Federation needed humanity. For 300 years they had lived in peace. They had forgotten that the galaxy contained dangers. But peace only lasted when someone was willing to fight for it. "Set course for Kepler," Captain Lim ordered. "Maximum speed." The aliens attacking the Kepler colony were called the Devourers. They were an ancient species that consumed other life forms to survive. The Federation had thought they were extinct. They were wrong. When the Indomitable arrived at Kepler, the sight was horrifying. 3 massive alien ships were destroying the colony with weapons that dissolved matter at the molecular level. The Federation defense platforms were already gone. Millions of peaceful colonists were trapped on the planet below. "My God," whispered Dr. Eugene Seo, who now served as the ship's diplomatic officer. "They are slaughtering everyone." Captain Lim studied the tactical situation. 3 enemy ships against 1 human vessel. The Devourers had superior numbers and technology. In the old days, this would have been a suicide mission, but the Indomitable was no longer just a human ship. Federation scientists had improved its shields and weapons. More importantly, human tactical thinking had been enhanced by alien technology and knowledge. "All hands to battle stations," Captain Lim announced. "Today we discover what happens when human warfare meets Federation science." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in centuries. The Devourers were used to fighting peaceful species that barely knew how to use their own weapons. They expected easy victory against another primitive warship. They did not expect humans. Captain Lim used every trick of warfare that humanity had learned in thousands of years of conflict. He attacked from unexpected angles. He used the local environment as a weapon, steering asteroid debris into enemy ships. He made his single vessel appear to be 3 ships by using sensor ghosts and false readings. Chief Engineer Dongmin Park had spent months integrating Federation technology with human weapons systems. The results were devastating. Human railguns now fired projectiles wrapped in Federation energy fields. Human missiles now carried Federation warheads that could phase through enemy shields. "Direct hit on the lead vessel," reported Commander Song. "Their shields are down 50%. But the real advantage was not technology, it was thinking. The Federation species had become so peaceful that they could barely imagine real violence. Humans understood violence intimately. They knew how to think like predators because they had been predators for their entire history. The Devourers found themselves fighting an enemy that anticipated their moves, countered their tactics, and refused to give up even when outnumbered. It was their first taste of human stubbornness. "Second enemy vessel is retreating," Song reported. "The third is moving to intercept us." Captain Lim smiled grimly. "Let them come." Today they learn why humans survived long enough to reach the stars. The final Devourer ship was the largest and most dangerous. Its weapons could destroy planets. Its shields could withstand the energy output of a small star. But it had one weakness that its builders had never considered. It was operated by a species that had never fought. Anyone who fought back intelligently, human. Tactics were based on one simple principle: always do what your enemy does not expect. The Devourer ship expected the Indomitable to retreat or attack head-on. Instead, Captain Lim did something completely insane. He rammed it, not directly, which would have destroyed both ships. Instead, he used the Indomitable's enhanced shields as a battering ram, striking the enemy vessel at precisely the right angle and speed to disable its main weapons without destroying either ship. The collision sent both vessels spinning through space, but the Indomitable had been built to take damage. The Devourer ship had been built assuming it would never be hit by anything. "Enemy vessel is disabled," reported Engineer Park. "Their main reactor is offline." "Good," said Captain Lim. "Now we talk to them." The conversation that followed was the second most important first contact in human history. The Devourers had not spoken to anyone in over 200 years. They had forgotten that other species could think and plan and fight back. "You are strong," the Devourer commander admitted. "We did not expect such resistance from this sector of space." "This sector is under Federation protection," Captain Lim replied. "And the Federation is under human protection. Attack any of our allies again, and you will face the full strength of humanity." It was a bluff, of course. Humanity had only one warship capable of fighting the Devourers. But the aliens did not know that. They had just seen a single human vessel defeat 3 of their ships. They assumed that humanity had many such vessels. "We will withdraw," the Devourer commander said finally, "but we will remember this encounter." As the alien ships limped away into deep space, Captain Lim received a communication from the Federation Council. Admiral Soo-Jin Park's face appeared on his screen and she was smiling. "Well done, Captain. You have proven that our alliance was the right choice." But the real proof came later, when the rescued colonists sent messages of gratitude to Earth. Children who had been saved from certain death drew pictures of human ships protecting alien worlds. Scientists who had been given time to continue their research dedicated their discoveries to human courage. Dr. Bo-Ram Lee, now serving as liaison between the Federation and humanity, sent her own message to Captain Lim. "You have shown us something we had forgotten," she wrote. "Peace is not the absence of violence. Peace is what happens when good people are willing to fight against evil." The galaxy was changing. Species that had lived in comfortable isolation for centuries were learning that the universe contained dangers as well as wonders. But they were also learning that those dangers could be faced and faced successfully when courage and wisdom worked together. Humanity had come to the stars expecting war and found peace instead. The Federation had lived in peace for centuries and discovered that peace sometimes required war. Together, they were building something new, a civilization that was both strong enough to fight and wise enough to know when fighting was necessary. Captain Woo-Jin Lim looked out at the stars and smiled. First contact was meant for diplomacy, but sometimes the best diplomacy comes from the barrel of a gun, and sometimes the greatest peace is built by those who understand war. The galaxy was a safer place now, and humanity had found its purpose among the stars.